Hi, let us understand how to create the global service and the impact of labels when we are creating the global service. Now, I'm going to create a global service. Already we have the Swarm cluster with the label node type as worker against the worker machines, that is node 2 to 5. And node 1 is marked as a master with the label node type equal to master. Now I am going to create a service with the restriction saying the global service should get created only against the node where the label node type is equal to worker. And as we discussed earlier, the global service, only one task will get deployed into one node. So let me go ahead and create the service. Docker service create, the name of the service is global underscore service label, where I am marking the mode as global and I am adding the constraint node.labels. The node type is equal to worker and it should deploy the Nginx image. Only 4 nodes met this particular condition as node type equal to worker and 4 tasks got deployed. Let me go ahead and check the details. Docker service and the service name. So it got deployed into the nodes node 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now I'm going to check what happens if I remove this particular label. Let me go ahead and use the node 5 and remove the label node type. Docker node update dash dash label dash rm. I want to remove the node type label from the node 5. Let me go ahead and inspect this particular node. Docker node inspect node 5. So it should not have that specific label within itself. So it doesn't have that label. Now let's go ahead and verify that service and see what happens. So I'm verifying the global service label. If you observe very carefully, for node 5, it got shut down. The status gone into shutdown state. While checking the status of the service, I can use the format option so that I will have a better visibility. Let me go ahead and get the details about the service global underscore service underscore label, where I am going to format with only ID, node and current state delimited with the tab, and it will be in the table format. So I am going to have the ID, node and the current state, and this particular node 5, it's in the rejected state. The reason because we removed the label node type from node 5. Now let us go ahead and add the label back into this particular node. Let's see what happens. So I am adding the label node type as worker for node 5. And now let me check the status of this particular service. Immediately it's going to start a task with this particular ID into node 5. So only 3 seconds back it got started. So automatically Swarm going to take care of what is the requirement and how it should meet, and I can put in the restrictions where that particular container should get started. And this will be very useful whenever I wanted to restrict the nodes, or whenever I am going to replace the nodes or take the nodes for maintenance. There are a number of possibilities in terms of adding the label, removing the label, and make sure the containers gets shut down and gets created into a different node. And one more thing to be noted, removing the label will also have impact on the distributed services as well. Let's go ahead and check the other service. What happens if the label gets removed? So here I have the 8 tasks for this particular service. Let me check the details about the service. So here it got rejected for node 5. The reason because it was no longer required. And if I go ahead and see only the running containers, I will have 8. But when I removed the label for node 5, it would have got shut down and got started into a different node, and that will continue to run, because for the distributed service there is no mandate it should get evenly distributed or it should get started in all the nodes. So even after labeling the node 5, the condition will continue to meet. So it did not start the task in the node 5 like the global service, where there is a mandate to start one task per node for the global services. So in a quick summary, we have seen what is the impact of removing a label in a global service as well as in a distributed service, and what happens when we add the label back into that specific node, and how the global and distributed service behaves.